Welcome to another edition of 12.5 Minutes. My name is Jared Kelly. I'm with my friend and co-host, Liz Whitehead.
Hi, Jared.
So good to see you again.
Me too.
Yeah, so we have some fun things to talk about today. I think you gave me a great idea for another episode of this crazy, scary, genius, hilarious topic, which is going to be what?
The World Cup in North America. We've talked about sports before, but I think what's crazy about the World Cup coming to North America this summer is it blends the crazy that's going on in the US right now with the crazy that always exists inherently in FIFA endeavors. So that has brought out a lot of crazy things.
Yes, yes. And and
Um,
and crazy definitely is a great descriptor for what we're going through in the United States. Go ahead.
well, that's part of it. I mean, one of the crazy things is that the disgraced former head of FIFA is, of course, accusing the new guy of corruption. So there's all pointing fingers there. And in part of that is the crazy fact that Trump won the FIFA Peace Prize while we're currently in a violent conflict in the Middle East.
It's
Um,
he did receive a pseudo peace prize despite all the craziness that he has not only inflicted but verbally said. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, one could argue that what happened in Minneapolis earlier this year is worse than anything that happened in Qatar, which hosted the previous World Cup. Um, and the fact that I thought I don't want to skip ahead to hilarious, but I did think it was interesting that you know, when the previous FIFA guy, Sepp Blatter, accused the current guy, Giannino Infantino, of corruption, he was cleared by all those charges by that, very well recognized organization, the International Olympic Committee.
They're crystal clear about ethics and morals and always upstanding. They've been
Always at the forefront.
yes.
Yeah. So I think with that craziness comes also always, we know what follows after that is the scariness of what that also reaps. I mean, one is the ticket prices for the World Cup are downright scary.
Yeah.
Um, and that seems to hold across Canada, the US, and Mexico, where average ticket prices are $13,000.
Right. Right. That's there's so many things that you said that I totally agree with, and I would add to that in that the scary list is long. And just off the top of my head, I would first say yes, ticket prices. That's scary. Um, Secondarily, the fees on top of the ticket prices. That's scary. Considering that this sport, I would say, is definitely a product of much more blue collar, lower income individuals. Not that it doesn't expand to higher income individuals, but this is not a premium sport. I don't consider it to be a premium sport, luxury sport, right? And so the fan base that would typically follow their teams, it's scary to think that they would even risk one paying those prices, but two risk it to come to the United States or potentially Canada or Mexico, since they're included, um, to leave their countries to follow their team, right? But then the way our current administration treats certain individuals from outside of our country, I would say that it is scary to think that they may not be treated well and they spend all this money and it's helping the United States.
Oh, yeah. Well, and when we were looking at this, that one of the potential things is that they're going to look at your social media before you're allowed to go. I don't even know how that would work, but that's scary stuff. uh, when we're talking about, corruption and that FIFA is a dictatorship, we don't have to look too far to make some comparisons.
And what do you do from a standpoint of determining people's um, it's their choice to spend their money, but now we are determining if we're going to allow them to spend their money in our country based off of their potential quote free speech, what we would consider to be free speech, but their conversations in social media platforms. Now, if you told me that individuals that have been associated with terrorist organizations, that we have attached them to a history using social media, I get it. But not submitting your social media for approval to buy tickets. That's
Yeah.
that's way too far.
Well, and that, you talked about the fan base for this, right? That in the US, soccer isn't, it's not going to be easy, and it hasn't been easy to fill the seats at those prices. And getting people around. I was in New York earlier, and everyone is talking about not going into, not taking transit and going into the city during the summer because the New Jersey Transit has jacked up their prices as well to try and accommodate these people. So it's all of that. It's not only are people not already kind of excited about the US men's team, which probably isn't going to go that far. We'll see. But they're not excited about that. And then it's actually hurting the people that do live there and rely on transit.
Right. It it's hard. It's ooh, this is such a big topic because if you go down the economic development side, like I have several thoughts about this in this particular space, but as well when you talk about so you talk about transit, you're talking about prices, we're talking about the impact of decisions on the cities and as well as the residents, right? The interesting thing is when we look at the United States, NFL football is our biggest sport in the United States. Um, that's where we spend the most money. We do fill our stadiums, but it is almost classist based off of the ticket prices. You don't really have the ability to support your team if you don't make a lot of money. Um, but since football, the NFL, American football is our number one sport, um, and we have that issue. Certainly, we're not going to be the ones leading the spending for soccer, which is not our number one sport. Uh, um, but then all the accommodations that um, each city must look at in terms of being a good host, uh, it does affect the local residents. It impacts them, as you mentioned, in their transit. It's going to impact them also in their regular, um, I would say, spending. And it's supposed to benefit the cities, though. That's the part that's the catch 22. It's supposed to benefit the cities. And right now, I just haven't seen enough evidence that the benefits outweigh the costs to the local cities for hosting.
Yeah. Well, this is, the genius part of it comes in the idea of it, right? The idea of the economic development that's going to take place. The idea of showcasing a burgeoning sport, because, soccer isn't the biggest, but it certainly is growing. Um, so showcasing
Not the
that
biggest in the United States. It's
in
the
the
biggest in
United
the world.
States,
Right. It's bigger in the world.
right? Right. I don't know if it's the biggest in Canada too. I think it might be hockey, but I'm not sure. Um, but that, okay, we're going to showcase North America. We're going to come together. And it's just, that was the genius idea of it.
Right.
And then I think that there's just a couple of of miscues here. One was how much people were going to root for men's soccer. I mean, one thing that they're seeing in LA 28 for the Olympics is that the women's sports are outselling the men's sports significantly, right? And we've talked about women's sports before. We've talked about women's basketball. That that's where, especially on an international level, the U.S. really shines is in the women's sports. On the men's teams, like uh, Messi's not going to play for the U.S. He plays on a U.S. team, but he's not going to play for the U.S. in the World Cup. So I think there was a little bit of a misfire there. And then, just of all times to be showcasing
Right.
the U.S.
United States.
Um,
Right. With
yeah,
with with the leadership that we have, with our politics, with our economy being at its probably worst since I don't know. I'm not even gonna get into how far back it was the last time we suffered this much with with gasoline prices and as well, groceries and everything else. But you're absolutely right. I do believe that when it comes down to this particular time, the idea of this was genius. It clearly was genius when it was established or decided in 2018. You couldn't predict, obviously that we were going to have a second term for this particular administration. Um, Certainly, we couldn't necessarily predict uh, what that administration would do to our economy, or their immigration stance, or wars, um, or it goes on and on and on.
yeah, sure,
It
yeah,
goes it
it
goes on and
really
on.
does.
So the sad truth is that this could be so much better if we just had different people in charge.
Well, I mean, and that brings us to, somewhat of the hilarious part. I mean, the so looking at I read a New York Times article about the different sports, journalists that are like, oh, we're so and the people in the US and Canada are really super excited, but really excited about having the World Cup here and growing soccer in our countries. But the Brits are like, I can't wait to see how this, Americans' indifference to soccer in general and the fact that their infrastructure is a testament to deferred maintenance, like how this is all going to work out together. So there might be some moments of hilarity mixed in there as I mean, Americans, Canadians, and Mexicans all together take the world stage as hosts for this cup.
I, I think that is hilarious, but they are they are utilizing their point of view and their sense of humor to quickly jab at us in our 250th anniversary year. But I would also say this: um, if if they learn anything from entertainment, learn from the Oscars and some of the other big award shows, and you better go out and find seat fillers because it's going to be embarrassing when the TV cameras pan those stadiums and see nothing but empty seats. So I would highly recommend that they learn how to get seat fillers because it's going to look terrible. And as well, learn from certain sports and pipe in an audience soundtrack so that you get louder applause because otherwise the 15 to 20 people in the stadium is not going to make that big of a difference in terms of encouraging their teams, right? So,
Oh yeah.
you know,
Well, right. I mean, who who is going to be there? The high def that makes soccer more compelling on TV is going to show all the flaws in this plan.
yes. But I'm here for it. I hope I get to see a few games on my television if they
Can't
don't put
wait
it
to
on
watch it on
Prime.
TV.
Yes, yes. I'll chase it. Anyway, another great episode, 12.5 minutes. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And this is another episode. Thank you. Thank you. What's your name again?
Bye, Jared. I'm Liz Whitehead.
Oh, you're Liz Whitehead. I'm Jared Kelly, and we are out of here. Bye for now.
Bye.